the person of the year who, for better or for worse, had the most influence on the news in 2024 is Donald Trump.
Many will hate it, and they are certainly entitled.
I think, you know what? I think what a lot of liberal Americans can't get their heads around is that there are a lot of people that just wanted to vote for Trump. They just liked him. And I don't think people wanted to believe that that's what America was about. But we've kind of always been this way. And if you want to ask the people that really knew that, it's black people.
Comedian Michelle Wolf, though, shares her take on America and Trump's popularity.
But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that.
Think about how dire of a situation it is when Donald Trump says something like this.
Well, I mean, I feel like for jokes, nothing's off limits as long as you have a good enough punchline. There's those topics where it's like, you're going to go after that. Your punchlines better be good.
Better hit.
Yeah. They're the hardest jokes to do, but they're the most rewarding when they work.
Right.
But like journalism, stuff like that, it's like a lot of that just feels like, because I mean, I have a lot of problems with journalism, but one of the biggest is that they're trying to make it entertainment. And like they try to like be like, what's the headline question gonna be? You know, what's gonna spark people's anger or emotions? And, instead of actually doing the work.
And thus Wolf rightfully calls it out. Let's also not forget how Donald Trump went after Michelle Wolf post White House Correspondents' Dinner Roast, which she recapped with none other than Joe Rogan.
He said something about when I don't remember the exact tweet he sent me, but it was like something the so-called comedian did such a terrible job. Oh yeah.
I bet you'd be on my side if I'd killed a journalist.
And that was right after that was during the Khashoggi stuff or whatever it was. Saudi
Jamal Khashoggi,
yeah, the Saudi journalist that had been murdered.
This is what he said. So-called comedian Michelle Wolf. By the way, that is like some of the best publicity you could ever get.
Yeah,
the president says this. Bombed so badly last year at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. First of all, not true. You can go listen to the recordings. People were laughing. Like, come on. This is so crazy that you say that. Bomb so badly. Play it back.
Yeah.
Let's play it back. What's all that noise?
I don't know if he wrote this tweet, though, because the grammar is so perfect that I'm like...
right, the dash in between so and called.
Yeah, it just feels like I was like, did someone else draft this?
Could be.
Two things stand out. First, Wolf handled his tweet incredibly well, with a good joke. Second, hearing Rogan talk this way about Trump just 5 years ago is an odd sight to see.
I am the least racist person there is anywhere in the world.
What an indictment on the United States of America, specifically those who voted for this. In Wolf's own words,
what's the difference between Michelle Wolf, the performer, and Michelle Wolf, the person?
We're pretty much the same. I start all my conversations with, you guys hear about this? My friends hate me.
What do you hope for yourself 5 years from now?
To be better than I am now.
What do you hope for America 5 years from now?
To be less racist. Come on, guys. Try like a little.
Indeed, try a little. Like not voting for a bigot in general.
Well, that's embarrassing. What's that stuck to President Trump's shoe as he boards Air Force One?
Even though sometimes the jokes write themselves, Wolf, a seasoned comedian, shares how her line of work has actually gotten a lot harder over the Trump years.
Well, he's definitely made comedy harder because everything seems sort of dire right now. And so it's harder to make people laugh, I think. And also, most Trump jokes are so hacky that... You know, like if you're gonna do a joke about Trump, it's gotta be like a new angle I haven't heard before. I don't want to hear anything about his orange skin or his hands or whatever. Now everyone likes to use the excuse, I was just joking. And I'm like, no. We were joking. We are the comedians. If you're going to say you're just joking, then you better do bar shows and open mics for several years and then earn the credit of being called a comedian so that you can go and say, oh, I was joking. It's like, that's our thing. We're joking.
And rightfully again, she calls out those who aren't strong-willed enough to stand by what they said.
The one thing that we have known, and it has been true for a very long time in our voting history, is that there are white women who vote their ideology, and that includes their gender, and there are white women who do not. The white women who do not are voting their race as opposed to their gender. And we are seeing that in this election cycle as well. That means we should not put all women in a single category. Far too often, the relationship between patriarchy and gender, racism come together, and we see these differences every time. Well,
By the way, here's a look at who should have been the mayor of New York City. Instead, they got Eric Adams. Anyways, with Wolf, she shares similar sentiments.
But that's what I feel like the liberal white community does a lot, where they're like, no, but we don't want to talk about like how we're racist. We want to talk about how we don't want to be racist. And I'm like, yeah, but let's talk about how we're racist.
So you can change
so
it.
that we can recognize that we're racist and then change it.
Right.
Like it's that like weird distinction where it's like, no, you have to comment on how things are and recognize how they are before you can make them better. Because we've done that a lot in America. You guys have probably noticed as black people. That we tend to just not take responsibility and pretend like things are okay.
Exactly. When of course they are not. Liberal white women are in turn holding back progress, as she explains.
We are following breaking news. Fox News alert right now.
She also has very fair and on-point criticisms about the news industry, including this.
Flint really still doesn't have clean water, you know? Like there's plenty of other issues that are happening rather than what like Trump tweeted and covering that for like 6 hours. It's like you can report on everything Trump did. You don't have to keep reporting on it, and you don't have to bring in a panel of people to talk about what he said and then to argue about if it was racist. It was. But you know, we don't need to keep covering it. It's like report the news and then report the other news, because there's plenty of terrible things happening and we're not covering it.
I'll be watching tonight.
I'm a big NBA guy.
So I'll be watching tonight.
This take probably won't be very popular, but I would argue that Inside the NBA, the show that everybody loves, has done more damage to the NBA in the last decade than anything. Forget about this woke and left and right.
Yeah.
Inside the NBA goes on every week and just trashes players, trashes the style of play. Colin, you look at any other show, MLB Network, NFL Network, these shows, our network, we're all positive. We're excited. We're talking about the games. Inside the NBA, they just hammer the players. Charles Barkley's on TV. The Rockets are in the Final Four for that NBA Cup. Oh, the Rockets don't know how to play basketball. They stink. They don't know what they're doing. What are you doing? You're damaging your product on a nightly basis, hammering it. Colin, globally, the NBA is fine. Much bigger sport globally than the NFL.
Well, yeah.
In America, the ratings aren't great.
Okay. This is a really bad take. It's a really, really bad take. Possibly one of the worst that I've seen from Jason McIntyre. And there's been a lot. There's been a real lot. So first, let's show you the numbers, okay? Because he is not wrong that the NBA's ratings are down, okay? Via TalkSport. Viewership for the entire NBA down around 48% since 2012. So this has been on a decline for about 12 years. And NBA games on the four-letter network ESPN are down 28% from last season. Conversely, they would write, in a world where TV viewership is waning, Inside the NBA's popularity has never been stronger. The YouTube channel that they have has over 2 million subscribers, with recent clips featuring the crew's reaction to NBA Cup games regularly eclipsing 300,000 views. Now, many would despise these comments. One fan wrote, McIntyre is literally just there to clip farm, which I agree with. Another added, let me say something so ridiculous that it drives tons of views and traffic to our show. A third, they're just jealous because no one watches The Herd, let alone Fox Sports 1, the way people come together to watch Inside the NBA. There would be more. Truth is, a large amount of fans want to watch these shows to hear negativity and hot takes. They will take that over being positive every day. Just like this clip calling out Inside the NBA will get a lot of views. It has, but what I am very happy to report is that it has been widely condemned because it's a really stupid take. It's a bad opinion. And again, he has had many over the years. This one's horrible. Now, what I find to be rather peculiar is that somebody like Jason McIntyre will say they're too negative. The problem is they're too negative. And this guy poo-poos on everybody all the time, every show, every segment, over and over again. And specifically with the NBA, wasn't it you who attacked Kevin Durant and then you leaked direct messages that you and Katie had to then clip farm out of that and essentially raise your clout in the media? You did. You did. Now, before I get back to McIntyre, let's go over just some of the reasons why NBA viewership is down. And one thing that is the elephant in the room, okay? The first is they're shooting too many threes. I do partially agree with this. There was a clip that Rachel A. Demita put on TikTok, and while I was eating lunch, it was her going over game footage for like 2 minutes, I want to say. And I'm blanking on which game it is. Check out her TikTok. And every possession for 2 minutes straight was a three. Look, we have seen, I believe, the apex of drive and kick basketball. What I think we need is just a new movement. Yes, we learned through the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets when they were a hamstring away from going to the finals was, 3 points is greater than 2. So let's just chuck up 8,500 threes a game. I get it. They're also playing the numbers. I get it. So that is a reason for some fans deciding to not watch. I do believe that. Is it en masse? No, it is not. It's a small portion. The second is, and that mainly comes from an older audience, I do believe that. The second is too many games. Some of the best seasons, one of the best seasons, NHL and NBA, was when it was shortened. I do believe that there are too many games. I do. Like, the one of 82 on a random Tuesday night where the Wizards are playing the Hornets. Like, intriguing for some of us because we know the players. But for the masses, why would they spend what is coming out to be a chunk of change for parking, tickets, food, bevies, maybe some merch? Another thing, let's say you watch those games and you even decide to give a portion of your time to that game, but then you see, hypothetically, LaMelo Ball sitting out rest. Yeah, that is part of the reason I do believe as well. That, the whole load management, Joel Embiid effect, I understand both sides on this. Sorry to chicken out, but I do. I understand why a player through an 82-game season where I said there are too many games are going to want to sit out and rest a few games here and there. I totally get it. I just do. But I also understand from a consumer's perspective why they would be really peeved at their favorite player, second favorite player, or the visiting player on the best player on a visiting team coming to town and them sitting. Like, you pay to go see Luka, and Luka's like, not feeling it tonight. Bad back, bad wrist, bad hand. Like, yeah, I'd be really upset too. But the biggest thing that nobody is mentioning, and I think this is intentional on why they are not mentioning it, is the exorbitant fees that a basketball fan has to pay in order to watch their home team's games. And this is a huge negative when it comes to cord cutting. I'll give you an example. I live in Chicago, right? My favorite team is the Bulls. I can't watch them. I can't watch the Bulls. I can't watch the Blackhawks unless when I have been given these games for a long time on WGN, on Comcast Sportsnet, on Channel 201, Comcast Sportsnet Plus, on, what was another one? NBC Sports Network Chicago. They decided to start a network called Chicago Sportsnet, which I know a lot of people who work there, phenomenal people. It has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the powers that be who run those networks basically saying, we're going to sit out until we get a better deal with streaming to put our network on there. So until then, this was recent, within the last 2 weeks, you couldn't even watch the games. Now you can, but you have to pay $20 a month to watch one team, the Bulls and the Blackhawks, because they're in season. The third is the White Sox. And if you want to watch both teams, you got to pay $30 a month on top of the cable package or streaming package that you're already paying for. I pay for Hulu. It's like $90 a month. I've thought about canceling 100 times, but then I saw YouTube TV bumped up theirs to, I believe, $84.99. So now I feel like I'm stuck. So I'm paying $90 a month for Hulu, and then you want me to pay another $30. That's $120, not counting internet and, of course, other bills, to watch teams that are not only from my childhood, but also bad. So that leads to, as I alluded to, the elephant in the room. It's streaming, guys. It's streaming. Sorry to state the obvious here. There was one company who bickered with Dana White online. And I think you guys know which one it is. They've been wildly successful. Wildly. And considering what I told you, why would people pay thousands of dollars a year when it just should be allotted to them in their cable package? Or if you have an antenna, you could do it, but it's a little hairy. It's streaming. People are watching the games. The ratings are down because they don't want to pay to watch the games. Like, it's the simplest A to B that I have. And yet guys like Jason McIntyre and company, they don't see it, or they don't want to mention it. And let me just say, as someone who has seen how Jason McIntyre came up through the big lead, sold it, and then made his rise through Fox Sports 1, latching on to a certain person's coattails, this is the least bit surprising. And the fact that he was like, forget all the woke stuff. A tell. Once again, an absolute tell. But it's streaming, guys. Let's just say it and get it over with. Those in the spotlight have a unique power to shift public opinion when using their voice.
This is Sam Cooke. As you can see, like me, he's awful pretty. And we are here now working on a record called The Gang's All Here.
From sports to music, the 1960s was a time for civil disobedience. It was a time for making good trouble. It was time to make a change. Sam Cooke, born in Mississippi in the early 1930s, moved to Chicago, Illinois during the Great Migration. He found his voice through the gospel, singing for his father's church. From there, he made his mark with the Soul Stirrers. The genre was officially transformed through Cooke's impeccable singing. Legend has it, there were folks who did not normally go to services, but with Cooke's presence, they attended to catch a glimpse of a rising star. It was also a time, of course, where Jim Crow ran rampant throughout the United States. Even with the changing of locations, Cooke could not outrun the prejudices inflicted on people who simply looked like him. On the road, the Soul Stirrers experienced segregation firsthand. Lou Rawls would tell PBS they were at times refused service, and thus they slept in their car. At 25 years old, Sam decided to take his career in a different direction. His father gave him his blessing to branch out. With You Send Me, he made TV appearance after TV appearance, with white America showing acceptance through album sales. His pop crossover was a success. The gigs got bigger. The pay got better. He was a household name to millions upon millions of Americans. Importantly, even as his star grew brighter, Cooke urged his fellow artists to always pay attention and give time to the black publications of the media. He'd say, while the liberal white press will write a black performer up, they will not tell his story. He called for more advertising dollars to be spent by both artists and performers. And when Cooke was set to perform at the Atlanta Fairgrounds, the Triple K protested the performance and threatened to kill him. He performed anyway. Seeing the images of black people being taken advantage of, from discrimination in housing to the new form of slavery, the 13th Amendment, Cooke released songs with strong messages, like Chain Gang. In 1961, he, along with Aretha Franklin and other musicians, took a stance. They would refuse to go on for a segregated audience in Memphis, Tennessee. Fortunately, it did not hinder their respective careers in the space. Also in this time, hardship. Dolores Elizabeth Milligan, his first wife, was tragically killed in a car crash in 1959. Just 5 years later, his 18-month-old son had drowned in the family pool after a cover was not put on it. He was inconsolable, but worked through the pain.
We were able to bring more than 250,000 people to march in Washington.
We do not want our freedom gradually, but we want to be free now.
Then this happened, and thus, as requested by you, the viewer, A Change Is Gonna Come was written, produced, recorded, and distributed. Via the Library of Congress, the song was his dedication to those oppressed by the sinful social structures created by the complicit partnership of obscene wealth with racism. Those ostracized, forced by Jim Crow to live on the margins of society, told where they were permitted to be, but mostly where not to be, wrote Carrie Odell. Cooke knew once Change was written that it was unquestionably a spectacular statement in song. It ingeniously weaved a powerful statement with a powerful vocal within an equally powerful production. Strings, horns, bass. It had all the makings of a potential #1 hit. Some reports point to an incident that happened in Shreveport, Louisiana as his inspiration for the track. Although Cooke arranged for a room at a local Holiday Inn, he would be denied service. The horn on his Maserati blared loudly, though he would state it was because of a poor job done by a mechanic. They would be arrested at one of the only places they were allowed to stay, the Castle Hotel. Sam, his brother Charles, his wife Barbara, and Roy Crane would make bail. Even after a bomb threat on the venue, Sam took the stage. Another inspiration, per civil rights attorney Ian Mance, was a sit-in in Durham, North Carolina. Cooke was on a bus when he started writing the lyrics to A Change Is Gonna Come. Simultaneously, students from North Carolina Central University protested segregation laws at a local restaurant. Tragically, it was released, the track, in February of 1964, just 10 months before Cooke, at 33 years young, was shot to death in a Los Angeles motel under still very, and I emphasize, very mysterious conditions. History.com would note the Los Angeles Police Department received a call on December 11th, 1964, and it came from the Hacienda Motel. They found Cooke dead on the office floor. He was shot 3 times by manager Bertha Franklin. It was eventually ruled justifiable homicide via Franklin's testimony in the case. She claimed Cooke threatened her after attempting to R-word a woman who stayed on the property. That was Elise Boyer, seen in the middle here, who told police she was pinned to the bed. Once Cooke went to the bathroom, Boyer fled, taking his clothes. With just a sports jacket on, he pounded on the door of Bertha Franklin's office, who told police he barged in, and thus she shot him 3 times at close range. 1 month later, Boyer was arrested for prostitution. In 1979, she would be found guilty of second-degree murder of her ex. He caught the attention, Sam Cooke did, of the FBI for his political leanings and friendships with the likes of Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X. Though questions continue to swirl to this day surrounding his death, fans have implored the masses that it not overshadow the message of his music and his impact. Thankfully, his legacy has far transcended his passing. Thank you to D.I. Martin for the comment and, of course, the recommendation. As y'all have seen, we really like doing these, and we like putting together these breakdowns for you. If you believe that there is a song that really made an impact on you politically that needs a breakdown video of its own, leave a comment down below and I will take a look.